Then we should move on with Fahad Ahmed from the University of Sassari, and he represents studies about how can vultures contribute to cystic echinococcus control. So please go ahead, Fahad.
I think you may hear me, right?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, Lavinia, thank you very much for introducing me and giving me the opportunity to present myself here. Before going further, I have a brief video abstract to share. So if you hear it, just let me know or stop me in the middle.
Good. Good.
As sole obligate scavengers, griffon vultures are uniquely specialized to eliminate carcasses swiftly and efficiently, saving on unnecessary environmental and economic costs of carrion disposal. However, following drastic population decline across Europe, griffon vultures practically went extinct in Italy. A conservation expansion program in Sardinia successfully reinforced the last remaining Italian vulture population by mitigating the main threats to its survival: food shortage. Through the establishment of supplementary feeding stations, permanent supply of livestock cadavers had been provided. In this research, the management and conservation implications on the controlled disposal of carcasses by means of feeding stations for vultures and the impact on cystic echinococcosis in Sardinia were assessed. During the course of the project, vultures scavenged a total of about 80,000 kilograms of biomass, saving about 90 euros in incineration costs and about 1,000 euros in carbon dioxide equivalent emission costs. By the extrapolation of those results, a total of 5,000 kilograms of sheep carcasses potentially positive to cystic echinococcosis was estimated to have been disposed by griffons, considerably reducing the parasitic burden and the risk of spreading of cystic echinococcosis in Sardinia. Biomass that could be eliminated by griffons on long-term period considered an amount of about 162,000 kilograms, including 10,000 kilograms of infected biomass from sheep that could be consumed over a period of 5 years, further lowering the cystic echinococcosis burden in Sardinia. Our results, driven under the One Health approach, emphasize the crucial and direct role of griffons in breaking the life cycle of cystic echinococcosis, as well as their indirect role in rendering multiple ecosystem and economic services through the elimination of carcasses.
Okay, can you hear me? And my slide is okay?
Yes, everything is okay, Fahad.
Okay, after a brief video abstract, we are going to further detail about cystic echinococcosis. Cystic echinococcosis is a major parasitic disease and are zoonotic health importance for animals, for humans, and also for the public health and animal health significance. The disease is caused by a tapeworm belonging to genus Echinococcus sensolato, and it is one of the major neglected tropical diseases for which effective surveillance are integral to curb the disease. The cystic echinococcosis is a major global health burden affecting majority of livestock as well as human. A study shows that it causes about $3 billion to national exchequer. So it is a huge economic loss to livestock as well as to the humans. Its life cycle is perpetuated by the dog-sheep life cycle, and dogs act as a definitive host through which eggs are released after maturation, and these are picked by domestic ungulates such as sheep, goat, cattle, and which are acting as intermediate hosts. Dogs also infect humans, which are sometimes are aberrant host or dead end host, and through them the disease may be transferred to them, and also through through the infected soil as well as food and water. So, as we are talking about epidemiology, we will talk firstly about sheep, which is a major health, which is majorly affected by the cystic echinococcus, and the previous surveillance shows that cystic echinococcus was 75%, which was done by Scala in 2006, and the recent prevalence was given by Verkasia 2020, and it showed the 65.3. So this shows that despite the technological improvement and economic and health changes, the disease prevalence does not reduce considerably, and it is the same. And this figures can be seen same in the cattle as well as 9.4% to 19.5, pigs 9.4% to 11.1, and in the wild boars 3.7. CE is also very prevalent in humans, and it is 1.4 to 100,000 inhabitant. This figure is reduced as compared to the previous, where it was 7 per 100,000 inhabitant. So three species which are commonly prevalent in Sardinia, which target different hosts, have been isolated, which includes Echinococcus sensostricto G1 to G3, and also Echinococcus equinus and Echinococcus canadensis. In our recent study, it also shows that G3 was also prevalent in the pig, which was quite a distinct thing as compared to the other studies found. The risk factors are same as can be seen in other studies, but unsupervised home slaughtering, which is very common despite various struggles by the government, but it cannot be alleviated, and also improper disposal of carcass. And along with this, extensive farming practices and different animal species have in close contact with, and also includes inadequate knowledge of disease and practice of rural feeding with raw viscera from slaughtered animals, and these are pivotal for spreading of C. infection. Along with this, other factors includes the low price for the meat, which is the major hurdle in moving the farmers towards to alleviate, to abandon this home slaughtering at home. And because the major cost for incineration cost is more as compared to the cost of the animals, so in Sardinia the farmer prefers to slaughter their animals at home. So talking towards our main topic, which is a project, and which under the umbrella of which this happens, all this, and it named as Life Under Gryphon Wing, and its number is this one, and it's funded by European Union, and its major aim was to increase the status of Gryphon vultures population in Sardinia, which was almost going to extinct, and it was on the red list and nearly threatened species. In last 2 decades, Sardinia hosts a sizable population of all the vultures. It includes 150 pairs of black vultures, 35 pairs of bearded vultures, and about 200 to 250 Gryphon vultures. But their number quickly declined in the early 1960s, and both the bearded and black vultures were declared as extinct on the island. And in the meantime, only 20 to 30 pairs were present. So Gryphon vulture's function is very much specialized. It's very peculiar. It has the potential to remove all the hazardous pathogen without any spillover from it. And these animals play a crucial role ecosystem functioning by removing carcasses from the environment. As we know that carcasses are incinerated during the whole, the carcass needs incineration to remove all of the hazardous pathogen. It is also very important because when the Gryphon vultures will remove all the hazardous carcass, the feral wild boars and dogs will not have a chance to exploit these unabundant carcasses, and they will not get a chance to increase the echinococcus. So our aim of this study was, if on-site carrion disposal through vulture feeding station could, alongside wildlife conservation, indirectly benefits the efforts to combat CE. Specifically, could the decrease in hazardous biomass in extensive farming contribute to break the life cycle of Echinococcus granulosus sensolato in Sardinia. So the project was already going on, so we just want to see that along with side wildlife conservation, could we have an influence or could we decrease the carrion burden in Sardinia? The study was carried out in Sardinia starting from 2015 to 2020, and Sardinia hosts sizable population of Sardinia hosts almost 4% of entire European sheep, which is quite a big burden in the form of leftovers and carrion. So for in the first phase, supplementary feeding stations were established. Supplementary feeding stations or vulture restaurants, these are robust approaches, and they provide a reliable food source for raptors worldwide, and it's used everywhere around the world. In specifically recently it's used in Spain, which has like now 32,000 pairs, and France also it is also used for the reintroduction of Griffon vultures. So these supplementary feeding stations should be dispersed, and they shouldn't be concentrated, because if they are dispersed they could have negative ecological effects such as cascade effects, and also they have negative effects on the vultures population. So in Sardinia, all the vultures, the feeding stations were established in 2000 Nature 2000 network sites. These were called as Bosa Capo, and these are special protection areas and site of community importance. These are the areas which are specified in Nature 2000 sites, because these are specifically chosen because they prop the population of Griffon vultures. They provide elevated cliffs, rocky blocks, which are used for nesting, breeding, and roosting by the Griffon vultures. Along with this, two centralized feeding stations were also established in Porto Conte and Monto Manevra, because this was because there may be chances that supplementary feeding stations would get exhaust of the enough food for the vultures, so they were like a food depot for them. One of the distinguished features which were established in Sardinia was they were of the supplementary feeding station. They were created within the farms by the official veterinary service and directly managed by farmers themselves. They were in contrast to other supplementary feeding stations which were established in Spain and France. So the feeding stations were surrounded by an electric fence, so chance of any canid was almost none. And these all feeding stations were associated with ovine, caprine, bovine, and equine farm, and they provide a total of N is equal to 255 individuals, bovine 171 individuals, and equines equals to 2 region. So whenever the farmers have a small animal carcasses, their transportation was done by the field wheelbarrow, while the large animals were transported by tractors to the feeding station. So there was no problem of having additional carbon emission. It was just like not far away that by tractors. It's just like 1 mile. It wasn't very far away. And the sanitary condition of these carcasses was verified with the help of breeders and landowners within the project area, because it should be ensured that all the carcasses should be they have a minimum sanitary condition to be offered to the vultures. And all personnels were first trained by the official veterinarian on the role of vultures and correct management of feeding stations, solely depositing animal carcasses that are free of drugs. The drug residues were verified with the help of this Instituto Zoologico Sperimentale della Sardinia. So it should be ensured that all the carcasses which were offered to the vulture should be free of any of the drug residues. And also, before starting supplementary feeding session, the training was on the prevention of disease and zoonosis from infected carcass, and positive role of vultures was also stipulated. This was very important because the Griffon vultures population decreased due to the sanitary rules by European Union, which causes the poisoning. So their role was very negative to the farmers. So though it was an important step towards the ecosystem services provided by vultures. So these are all feeding stations which are established in different municipalities, And this is the total amount of 81,361 kgs during the course of project in the 5 years. And this is the total amount of griffons which can be fed during the course of project. Okay, so the second point was how much biomass available to the griffons. Vultures in daily life consume like 500 gram of carcass per day. So to estimate their biomass availability, we use the livestock species divided by into livestock species into mortality rate divided by 100. So we use the carcass of livestock weight 500 kg for cattle and 30 kg for goats and sheep, and correction factor of 0.66 was applied. The total griffon vultures per year were also collected by dividing the biomass per year multiplied with daily feed intake of griffon vultures. Griffon vultures consume 31% of daily body weight of cattle and 27% of goat and sheep. As the incineration generates a huge amount of obnoxious gases such as NO2, so in this project we also estimated the ecosystem surfaces, and we took a reference from Ministero delle Politiche Agricole, which has the references for all of the regions, the cost of incineration. And for the Sardinia, it was 0.97 euro per kg for bovine, 2.21 euro per kg for sheep goat, and 1.07 euro per kg for equine carcasses. So we calculated by a recent reference, which calculated the cost of CO2, and it was 1 ton of CO2 is equals to euro 13. So we convert all of the biomass per kg into tons and multiplied with euro 13, and we find out how much we have ecosystem benefits from the consumption of all of the carcasses. So in results, a total of 81,361 kg of biomass originating from cattle, sheep, goat, and equine carcasses were consumed by vultures. It equals 428 individuals. This table shows a comprehensive data of all the biomass consumed from 2017 to 2020. So 23,199 kg in 2017 and it was consumed, and 19,415 kg in 2018, and respectively all of them in 2020. Specifically, if we talk about the from sheep and goat, it was 9,618, which includes 8,123 kg from sheep, 1,495 kg from the goat. The highest was from the cattle, because cattle has more biomass as compared to the sheep and goat, and 650 kg of equine carrion was consumed corresponding to these individuals, which I have shown you. So we extrapolated the results and found out how much infected carrion was removed during the course of project. As we know that prevalence of CE in the recent survey was 65.3 in sheep, which indicates that about 5,304 kg of infected carrion is consumed by vultures, thereby reducing the burden of CE in Sardinia drastically. So we also calculated the annual monetary value. As I have shown you, we took the reference from Ministry de Politico, and it shows that 90,040 euro total cost we saved from during the course of project, saving this cost from the bovine, this cost from sheep and goat, and this cost from equine carcasses. And the total amount of estimated cost based on the atmospheric CO2 was 1,054, corresponding to 300 euros in 2017 and 252 in 2018 and 365 in 2019 and 137 in 2020. An interesting point of view for this is we also extrapolated the results of this project for the next incoming project, which is known as Life Safe for Vultures, and the aim of this project was to increase the griffon vultures to the whole of the Sardinia, and it includes the translocation of another 50 vultures to the south of Ireland. The previous project was only limited to northwestern side of Sardinia, which they were historically present. So we extrapolated these results, and we anticipate that double amount of carrion will be consumed by the vultures in the next coming 5 years. And we believe that consumption of this amount of sheep carrion is expected, further reducing the infected biomass during the course of project. and affected biomass is equal to 10,600. We also doubled the transportation and incineration costs, and is equals to 1,83,082 and 2,115 euro based on CO2 emission. So, based on our findings, we established that Gryphon vulture removes substantial quantity of carrion, which is often challenging due to high transport and incineration cost, and vultures contribute substantially to greenhouse gas emission reduction. High intensity of CE most likely results from unofficial slaughtering of farm animals and abandonment of carcasses in remote areas, among many other factors, but these are the most important, which causes the increase in prevalence of CE. In Sardinia, almost all dogs have free access to carcasses. This can be estimated from the fact because 15-20% is the mean culling rate, and we expect that 3,000 to 400,000 are slaughtered each year. However, official figures says only 1,50,000 are come to the slaughterhouse for the slaughtering. So it shows that about half of the sheep are available to the dogs for scavenging. So vultures are very specialized obligate scavengers, and they are specialized in eliminating carcasses carrying very serious infections such as bovine tuberculosis and anthrax. And by doing so, these birds contribute, besides the redistribution of nutrients, to significant sanitary ecosystem services. We think that like the graphic markers are used for stopping the other bacterial diseases, parasites with zoonotic potential and protozoans present in the carcass can efficiently scavenged by vultures without any risk of transmission to the humans. It is an evident fact that there are some studies which shows that Gryphon vultures are in the play an part in the transmission of some bacterial disease like salmonella, but there is no specific proof regarding that. It is an so we our aim is just to with the title that vultures contribute. So we are not saying here the CE can be completely eliminated by Gryphon. We are just saying that vultures can contribute and they can facilitate disease regulation when all the attempts by humans are futile till date, and have nothing just to spend like long lasting efforts are required, which requires 20 years, maybe 30 years. So in the meantime, they can contribute minimum to this. And other thing is Gryphon cannot and will never be compete with dogs because the feeding practices totally depends upon the behavior of farmers. If by any chance they would have competition with Gryphon, dogs will outcompete every single time because dogs are like 80,000 in Sardinia and 70,000 are the outdoor dog or in farm dogs maybe, and they have like 15 to 20% prevalence rate. So they outnumber every time. So our aim is just to write that the scavenging by the right species, which replacing dogs with Gryphon, which naturally keep the environment clean without any zoonotic risk. It is important to recognize that vultures are not limited to the decreasing burden and decreasing the disease prevalence, but it also extend to the economic benefits coupled with inhibiting emission of CO2. This vultures in Sardinia have contributed like 90,041 euro to public funds that have been used for the carcass disposal. It is substantially lower than France, but it is amount that is a considerable amount that is saved from this project. And based on ecological tourism that have been seen in Israel, it has been seen that people are very much attracted to the wildlife things, and they make photographs and they like to visit. So it is a significant economic gains in the future. Overall, heightened interest in vultures can be noted in context of birds watching and wildlife photography. Furthermore, extensive farming is very common in Sardinia and other Mediterranean countries, which is like a hyperendemic for the CE. So large amount of biomass can be used for vulture conservation along with other disease control also. And it is a thing can be benefit for the farmers in terms of economic, in terms of disposal, in terms of many other factors. So also, and carrion is like unstable and pulsatile around the wear. So we have shown in our study that large amount of carrion, 4 million entire population sheep, can be surplus to feed these vultures, and supplementary feeding station is a very much advocated thing to rescue vultures. So, and the in recently, transhuman communities have presently shifted to stable sheep farming practices. Uh, Also, this leads to increase the farmer tendency to invest and exercise contemporary breeding operations. But with these things, technological improvements, the European regulations, which shows that farmers have to slaughter their animals at the slaughterhouse. So it and also decreases the number of slaughterhouses nowadays. And additionally, carcass transport and processing expenditures. I have told you that cost of the animal is very less here. So and also in Sardinia there is only one incinerator, and which on top is currently non-functional. Low profit margins on meat and compulsory inspection of animals by official veterinarians at abattoir have drastically limited farmers' investment capacity and promoted the practice of home slaughtering. So, in given all these problems, graphene vultures can prove us very good thing to decrease the carbon burden in the Sardinia. So our conclusion is based on One Health approach, and this is a very fascinating One Health application of to control the disease of cystic echinococcus, and along with this various economic and along with this economic and health significant for humans as well as animals. So this efforts within the health domain and furthermore offers a viable control method for the disease without any risk of spillover at the human wildlife livestock interface. So this is the classic example of the abstract which we have shown in our paper, and it's a sheep farm that negatively have free access of dogs and 65%, and if it is not, it goes towards incineration cost, which is a problem for all of the community keeping with WHO goals and sustainable goals. And if this is consumed by the dogs, it could be spread to the CE to the livestock as well as the humans. And the positively, if we move towards the supplementary feeding stations, we have blocked all these two things: green economy and as well as control of CE. I would like to highlight here that the paper is published in one of the prestigious journal and recently published. And
Sorry, Fahad, I would like to say to you that you are out of time a little bit, so please kindly be shorter.
Yes, thank you very much for the attention. And if you have any questions, I'm open to it.
Okay, thank you very much, Fahad. Interesting and daring project. So congratulations. If there are any questions, if not, we can move on because we are out of time.